What's going on, Badger Nation? Welcome to the PPC Den podcast. I'm your host, Michael Erickson Facchin, and this is the world's first and longest running show all about how to make your Amazon advertising life a little bit easier and a little bit more profitable. Today on the show, we have my dear friend Shane White from NoBul Partners, way up there in Chicago. And we're going to be talking about actual useful ways to use AI in your Amazon marketing. Let's jump in. Absolutely actionable to help improve the way that you learn from your data, interact with your data, and combine different data sources into a beautiful visualization. Let's do it. Alrighty, Shane, I'm very excited today. Welcome back to the show. Always great to have you. But I'm excited today because I think a good title of this episode is going to be actually useful use cases of AI in Amazon marketing. We've been talking for now, I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks about this, nailing it down to actual real utility in Amazon marketing using AI to speed up the process of what it is that we do here as Amazon marketers. So I'm excited about this topic. Welcome back to the show, Shane.
Thanks, man. Excited to be back. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to give a warning to any parent out there. Maybe they have small children in the room. But the name of your agency, could you tell us the name of your agency?
Oh, of course. Yeah. So we're called NoBul Partners.
Yes.
It's for a few reasons. One, it's our ways of working. Just no BS, no bullshit. And then also our background, me and my co-founder, Kyle, we were the guys that scaled RX Bar, the protein bar company's e-commerce business. So a little marketing swipe. We took the no BS from the front of that protein bar and made it our own.
Yes, that's right. So hopefully you let the kids back in the room. We'll only say bullshit a couple more times.
It's actually BS is bad stuff. It's not. I don't know what
bad
you're talking
stuff. Oh my god, I love it. I love it.
That's what we used to put. We put that on the kids' bars. Funny enough.
Amazing. No bad stuff. So thank you so much for coming back on the show. So I think like the AI world is here, and everyone's figuring out use cases in the Amazon marketing world. We're gonna walk through a use case that you did. You told me something amazing before the show. You produced a slide deck for a client that would have taken you a month to do previously. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I think you and I spent some time talking about this. I think for most people right now, you feel like you need to be using AI to be like in the now, but I think most people are struggling to know when to use it, how to use it. I've defaulted to always use it. Ask. If you have a question, ask it. If you don't understand the output, ask it again. Like keep asking the why. And the thing that we're talking about is most of us that do anything marketing related on Amazon, the one thing that everyone will know right away or understand is there's just a plethora of data, right? If you have multiple clients, every day, every hour, there's new data across all these metrics that we're all used to talking about for advertising. So one of the things I believe right now is really powerful. I'm a big believer in Claude. I think the outputs in Claude are beating some of the other models. I used to be a ChatGPT guy and recently have switched to Claude. With Claude, one of the things that I love is it does a really good job of visualizing. So it'll actually create charts, it'll create graphs, it'll create all these things with your data. So for advertising, it's become really powerful, right? All this data over different time frames. I've gotten to the habit now that I get into a cadence of basically uploading usually Ad Badger screenshots or exports and prompting it on all sorts of questions. All the things that we are constantly answering for clients that everyone here would understand or have experience doing. I'm teaching my model what I'm usually looking for, why I'm looking for it, what are things that I'm trying to find as flags. I'm teaching it that. And, a couple months into it with Claude even remembers all this. So the next time I upload new data, it's catching things faster than I probably would have been able to. The big output though, or the so what that we'll dive into is you can take that to the next level. So something that I've started to do is now for me, maybe this is a personal struggle. I've always felt like with advertising on Amazon, with PPC, there's so much we look at, there's so much we all work on. I sometimes over the years have struggled to dumb it down for a client to really, for them to take away something from a 30-minute connect, an hour connect on like what's working, what's not, what are we testing, what's the so what right now. There's just so much that sometimes I find myself going so deep that I get deer in the headlights look back from clients. So one of the things Claude has really helped me do, and what I just used for it recently, is going a mile deep with advertising data, as well as some other Seller Central data. So one of the things that I was telling you that has been a really big unlock is some of these data sources, they're all really good insights when you look at them in snapshots. And I think we all probably have experience of looking in Ad Badger, Campaign Manager, Seller Central dashboards, and that's a good insight. I'll share that. What's really become powerful with Claude at the end of the day is taking all of that data and then across different time frames and putting it all into an LLM and start to really get some powerful business insights that I think, again, analyst level work, this is stuff I used to do back in the day, but I'd spend weeks analyzing this type of data. And I think that's really where LLMs have become powerful for our industry is you can take all this data and get answers fast, minutes, seconds, versus needing to spend all this time even getting a story. Then double click into that. What's the output? What's the so what? Claude also, and a lot of LLMs are getting good at this, but now I can take a story from all this data, which everyone has seen. If you look at Claude or ChatGPT, you'll get this like text output. A very easy one for everyone today to take. Ask it after it gives you that and you ask some questions and you understand the story in a text format. Be like, can you put this into some beautiful slides for me? It's a simple prompt. Obviously that's not complicated. The level of output is incredible. Now, one of the things, if you want to become a pro in this that I've started to do, I'll take my client's website, I'll drop it into Claude. I say, scrape all the fonts, scrape all the colorways. I want it to feel and look like my brand. It takes the whole PowerPoint and turns it into like an on-brand colorway, text font. It's kind of crazy, man. And I was telling you before, like, again, to synthesize all that data, to get the story, that's something that used to take days, if not weeks, across multiple people on a team. And then to take that and to build a PowerPoint slide, that used to take a lot of time. Like I did this whole entire process in 3 days. And it was like in between meetings and with a help from one other person on my team. So I'll stop talking. I'm sure there's a million questions, but like, to me, that's the so what. And then if you can get to like, how's it going to benefit your business? How is there something in this data that's going to be something we're going to actually change or get approval from the client to help their business grow, our business grow? That in a nutshell to me is like the bread and butter for us today of using these LLMs with the data we have.
Walk me through your typical work week. So you are interfacing with your clients, right? Like you have calls
Correct.
with them, you're going over progress with them, you are talking about other things that you can do to help them out. I know you guys are really big into thinking of new creative ways or extra things that they could be doing. So you're basically using it as like progress checkpoints, reporting, interfacing with your clients. Is that right?
Yeah. And I would say maybe even more than that. I mean, one of the things is our business has continued to grow and our team's getting a little bit bigger. I'm always trying to think, I look at my calendar constantly. I use my calendar as kind of not only a to-do list, but like making sure I'm spending quality time on every client and quality time with family and all this stuff. So at the end of the day, what's the thing I don't have endless resource of is time. Like time is kind of my bottleneck most of the time. And what I can do with AI and these models now too, is I can review data a lot faster. And kind of what's the so what of that in my role, the faster I can find flags, the faster I can find good things that are happening, the faster we can make moves and decisions as a team to help our brands grow faster, more profitably. That's the whole goal of what we do.
It allows you to spend a lot more time on strategic takeaways as opposed to just, years and years ago, like spreadsheet skills for Amazon marketing were paramount to getting some of that insight of like best products, worst products, top 10%, worst 10%. And now you just need your data source. Like you go somewhere, you hit export and then you have it. And then you can begin to discuss with your favorite LLM, like, let's talk through this data together. Like, what are the takeaways? Like, how do I think about this? And then to your point, all these platforms have memory to it. So, like when I do this, I always want to know top products, worst products, and whatever is going to be relevant. Or if this client is just did a launch, like tell me about the new product over here. And then you of course can combine these spreadsheets. You can download your keyword report and a profitability report and organic ranking report. You combine all these things, search query data. You can combine all this stuff and like have a holistic view on the fly right in a chatbot, which is really neat.
It's wild. Yeah, I totally agree.
You mentioned the nice hack of like branding it to either your own agency brand or your client's brand. Another thing that I've seen someone do is actually at Ad Badger, shout out to Moreno on the team, because like every once in a while, like we'll have a client write in and be like, can I get like a check through, is my like software configured properly? So like she produced same kind of thing. It was a report, and then it like merged our logos. So like this was
Oh,
like a
cool.
construction company selling like construction style products. So she like put the badger in like a hard hat to like demonstrate, and it was like a really nice. It's like, damn, that's a nice touch.
Little things go a
Little
long
things
way,
like that,
right? Like
right?
it's
It's
funny.
just like
I'll have to
that's
report
where
back
like
to you, but like the client we're having this meeting with today, I'm very curious to see if they notice that the deck
right.
is like in their colorway, in their font. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we'll see. I assume they'll be pumped to see it, but you never know.
Yeah, and it's like that human side. It's like using AI to like accelerate the human side of things is so valuable. I almost feel like some AI talk is really around like removing humans from the conversation entirely. Like, okay, I never want to think about my clients at all. Like, I just want like AI to tell me everything. Versus like, I know my clients, I know their needs, I know what they're needing right now. I'm going to use AI to like actually elevate what I want to talk about with them. I want to like find the insight with them so that I can take that and like actually deepen the relationship instead of like keeping them at arm's length.
I actually think I'm very bullish right now because I think the more you spend time in AI, I think the less doomerism I get, to be honest with you. Because like, again, I'll give you a funny example. Like in this deck that I was talking about, there were just things in there that were just like obvious things to me, knowing the brand intimately. They're like, I don't know, just like that's not a key takeaway. Or
Right.
like, I'm looking at this slide and I know exactly what they've been thinking of lately and what they've been focused on. Like, no, this is a way more important key takeaway. So like, I was laughing with my wife the other night because I was showing her this deck and I was like, this is crazy. Like, this would have taken me a month to build. This is so cool. And it was very obvious to even explain to her, and she doesn't work in any of this sort of space or with AI at all. It was very obvious to her as someone who doesn't do it every day. She's like, it's so cool to see, like, it's not like you can do it all for you, but the people who are leveraging it in a big way. I think the next separation really is going to be the teams, the companies, the people who are AI native. It's just going to be so obvious how fast you're moving at such a higher quality.
Yeah.
But you have to still know the story. Like, you can't, it wouldn't be like I can just give all this information and be like, build this deck and the story and then be able to go present it. You still have to know the stuff. It just helps you do things faster and look more professional and clean things up, I think.
Okay, so what I'll actually do, I will share my screen. What we just did was we just basically prepared what it looks like for everyone to do. So as you mentioned, step one is just to like pair up your data. And what's cool about this is you can really just get anything. You can do like search query data, like brand analytics from brand analytics. You can do like product opportunity explorer or organic ranking or even a competitor reverse ASIN lookup, advertising data. So
Anything. Any data that you use at all, you could pull into this.
Yeah, any data that you use, or hey, like how does my organic ranking and search terms differ, or search anything you want, you pump it in there. And one thing that's cool is like knowing where your data lives. So like that's step number one. Like, what data would I actually want to evaluate? One thing I noticed is that you do use, got to pat ourselves in the back here, you do use Ad Badger data here, so you can get spend over 2 timeframes or like performance over 2 timeframes at once, which I imagine AI can help parse. So you have like spend over timeframe A, spend over previous, so on and so forth. Search query data 2, which you can also get from Ad Badger 2, which is like timeframe A versus timeframe B, so you can get trend level data. So you pump all that in and you gave it, and this is a relatively simple prompt, just for the purposes of this episode. Can you build a story with this data, build a few slides to represent the charts and graphs that you can build from this ad data? And it chewed away for a couple minutes. Tell me, before we even look at the output, like, how much does this differ? Like, this was just for the purposes of this episode. How much does that differ versus what you would do for an actual client?
I actually usually start with something simple like this. What I'm trying to do is to see, like, let the LLM do the LLM's thing.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is all the real data. Now, I will say, depending on how, like, after you do this over and over again, of course, the one thing that it'll start to learn is like, what do you want the output to look like? So the more you do this, the better it's going to get. So I've noticed, like, from the very first time to now, it kind of has cut through a lot of the iterations that you'll see that I ask it to make. But usually, I mean, yeah, let it run a little bit. Let it think. Yeah, so like now you're seeing, so what you guys will see, I think it's 8 slides that it kicked out. So it's a lot, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of slides, a lot of data. The quick thing you'll see here, and I always say this is with anything AI, just double check numbers, right? Like, so what I've seen before is, which is interesting, like pulling different data sources across different areas. for example, if there's 2 ROAS numbers, I've seen like slightly different ROAS numbers, and it could just be a million different things, but like that's a big one. You can kind of look like you don't know what you're doing if all of a sudden in a deck you have different metrics for the same thing. So just spot check it first and foremost. But like what I start doing is then I look at this output. I start going through, I'll definitely validate important metrics quickly. Just if you have that available, validate that it's correct. But what you'll see too is like just the formatting, the like visual aspect. Like personally, me, I'm not a very good like PowerPoint user. Like this would take me forever to do in PowerPoint or Canva. So even just taking the data, taking the analytics, the story, and then putting it into something that's easy to read, to me, like that just saved me hours.
Right.
Hours.
Right. And you previously, years ago, this would have been spreadsheet work where it's like you look at the spreadsheet, you're summing, you're doing all this stuff, and now you can just have this beautiful thing produced relatively quickly.
And as you go through, like there's what I would say too is like it'll come up with its own synopsis. So the key thing here, and where it's very, very important, is like you should kind of have an idea of the story before you even start this process. I left that out because what you want to come in here and do is like it's going to find things that you probably missed and didn't think of, but also it's going to point out things that maybe you don't think are that important. Part of what I spend some time doing with this is like, okay, that slide's that's a good story, but like I know the client really cares about XYZ, not ABC. And so let's pit it, but this is where it's cool. Instead of you having to go analyze a whole nother spreadsheet or spend time doing that and then redoing a slide, you can just go to Claude and explain, hey, on slide 7, this is not the key takeaway. It really should focus on this. Can you re-look at that data and pull out this? A good one actually will tell you I used in this scenario. It gave me an analysis of like top performing campaigns, just as like a simple one for everyone here today. For this brand, they've been really heavy on branded to start. So I said, actually, let's remove the branded campaigns. And it only knew that because I taught it what a branded campaign, how we use our nomenclature. And so I said, just redo this analysis, redo this slide with only non-branded campaigns.
Yeah.
Totally different story, totally different message, but very important, honestly, a better takeaway for the point of the meeting. So that's like the little things. And like, again, instead of me going to someone on my team or me then having to crack open and redo a whole spreadsheet to figure out that answer, like it did it in, Mike, it did it in 20 seconds. And then I had a whole new slide. And you can do things like that with reformatting quickly, way faster than a human can do.
Yeah. And I feel like it's really like, this is where like human ingenuity like can really come through. It's like I'm using some tools to just aggregate and store data, and then I'll bring it over here to like interact with it, which is really helpful. So, you know, you're seeing a lot of things like spend concentration, phrase match carries the load. Phrase match has, 85% of keyword spend at 46% ACoS. Isn't that lovely? What's interesting about this is what's so cool about this, like you see like AI in education, like for children. And one of the cool things that AI for education does is like it knows the kid and knows the kid's gaps. And then it will focus on those gaps. So like if you were to go to AI and like it produced this, the next phase, and like you didn't understand the slide, the next thing you should do is like ask it like, is this a big deal? Like, tell me about phrase match, tell me about exact match, like research the best people that know about match types and like, what would they say about this kind of thing? And it's like, do that kind of like interactivity with your data. Like there's no reason to not be at least fairly proficient at anything that's valuable to you these days.
100%.
So
and for like this specific client, like again, just a small hack, like if you're using Claude, I turn a lot of my like clients into a project, and then that way it like basically would save this, whatever this project is you're working on, or this PowerPoint or this presentation, whatever this cut in time is. You through this process, you're going to teach it the outputs you're looking for. You might teach it like, hey, our client's really focused on this thing, and then the next quarter rolls around, it's crazy, Mike. It remembers everything you guys worked on. So now you just upload the data for the next quarter, and it does the exact same thing. Like, so you can replicate very fast. That's the next thing for this. I just told my team this week. I said, sometimes right now, I think with AI, we feel like we're kind of like spinning our wheels, talking to it a lot to like get the output we're looking for. On the other end of the spectrum, you could just do the old process you've been doing, which is manual, and maybe takes a little less time today. But where it becomes powerful in an organization, I think, is then taking it and thinking about what it can do next month and next quarter and for every month after this forever, which is now you just took something that maybe it only took you 20 minutes a month, but it took you an hour this month to make a process with Claude and an output that you like. And then now next month it's a minute.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the mindset you have to have with AI today. It's not magic yet. It's getting magical, but you really do have to kind of work with it to teach it on what you need it. And then it's gonna be your best friend when it comes to like replicating the output you need going forward. And also just like improving advertising. Like this is where you come up with a test as an output of like something you should be spending more. Like I did something this week where I correlated Jungle Scout data, brand analytics data, and our advertising data, triangulated. So basically the point was what's performing well, where as a brand are we doing really well, and we're seeing really strong performance just or overall in our account. And then in Jungle Scout, what's growing and where's it white space? How can we tie all three of those together?
Right. That would have been such a huge task.
Yeah, and it would have been complicated to do because the data's all different. And then so not only that, but me and Claude worked on like, okay, what should we go test to go dominate this thing we figured out? Well, now I'm going to go test it with Ad Badger. And then next month, I'm going to come back, bring the results, and then talk to Claude in that prompt and be like, how do you think we did? What could we do different? Here's the updated data. It's crazy.
Yeah. We just prioritized internally our export feature because I think like any Amazon marketer today needs to do this. Like you need to like download data and like put it into your favorite LLM and talk to it. And like that's where like the magic happens, where it's like you want to talk to it about specifics like that are important to you or your client or like the business or whatever. And that's where the AI is like so personalized for you. So that's a great takeaway. I always try to like have these episodes like something that someone can finish this episode and go and do. Well, dear listener, go and do this very thing. Like go and download data, pump it into your favorite LLM. I would say too, like I think Claude is my favorite at the moment as well. I do use Gemini a lot too. Just because we're on Google Workspace, we have a lot of free Gemini usage. It's pretty much the same experience like anywhere you go. There's like good parity right now. I haven't used ChatGPT in a couple of months just because like Claude and Gemini give me what I need right now. But go and do this and like begin to interact and talk to your data. There's really like no reason now. Like anything you want, other data points, you can combine data that previously would have been a task to combine.
Right.
Thank you so much for helping inspire Badger
Thanks
Nation.
for having me on. Hopefully someone takes something away today. And if anyone's figuring out something that I didn't talk about that's way better, I would love to know.
There you go.
We gotta all share.
Thank you so much, Shane. We have links to your agency's website in the description. Highly encourage people to reach out and if they have a CPG brand especially. Thank you so much, Shane. We'll have you back on the pod in a couple months. Can't wait to see how this continues to progress.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Alrighty, and everyone else, I'll see you next time on the PPC Den podcast.
I've launched campaigns and picked keywords. I've got my bids, set placements too. And bad mistakes.